This, yes, of course.
No, okay. I was just wondering, okay, just if there's supply, and obviously there is, would you consider that there are a growing number of journals that are coming about?
Yes, there's a growing number of journals, but not a growing number of journals that I recognize. If you look at the Australian journal list right now, there's 2,450 journals that go all the way from economics down to sports management. If you say to an academic that's been in this profession, how many of them are in management, I'd say 30 that really count. The rest of them are kind of fluff. They're to be added onto your resume to make it look like you're really doing a lot of things. But if you really say, are you hitting the key journals, not the best, but the key journals, the answer is, I'll be able to tell that, but there's not 2,450 of them, there's 30 in your profession, and maybe even less than that. The problem we have here, this is my biggest concern about the discipline. And again, I'm giving a talk tomorrow here, or at Bonn next week. We have a growing gap between whom? The researcher and the practitioner. It's going like this. When I started out, it was about like this, and now it's going like this. Why? Because to publish in the better journals, what do you have to do? You have to quantify everything you do. To quantify something, that means I've got to take something somebody else did, and I've got to add my little bit to it. Okay? That's what incrementalism is. As I refer to it, it's taking a piece of sand and going out to the beach and saying, look what I did. I put a piece of sand on the beach. And everybody goes, who cares? What did you add? What I'm looking at in the journals that I read, or a lot of them regularly, there's very little new things. I was a marketing PhD. I don't do marketing anymore. I haven't done it for 20 years. I can pick up the marketing journals today, and it's the exact same topics we were talking about 20 years ago. 5 years ago, to prove this to my university, I went through the top 4 marketing journals, and I said, how many of these journal articles are about e-commerce? You know how many were on it in the top 4 journals in a 5-year time period? No, 1. Is there anything more important going on in marketing than e-commerce? I don't know what it would be. But it's innovative, it's different, there's no theory, there's this and that. And what people are saying is, if I really want to get something published, this is the way to go. I add my piece of sand to the beach, I don't come up with a whole new beach. And this is bothering me because we're overlooking a lot of things. I had a thing in marketing that I was really excited about. It's called cross-brand cannibalization. It was about private branding relative to national branded products. Really a neat idea. And I saw it happening at the retail level. I wrote the article, sent it to the guy, Pete Buckland, who's a super guy, sent it to him in the journal Retailing. And Pete literally wrote this back to me. This is really interesting, but let's wait until it happens and then write an article on it. So what he said is, let's not be researchers, let's be reporters. And what he was saying is, this is new, this is different, I'm going to get in trouble for doing this. What I'm saying to you is to move the thing forward and not put a piece of sand on the beach, you've got to do this one. But you're going to have difficulty. The better I like an article that I've written, the more innovative, insightful I think it is, the harder time it is for me to publish. It's just a direct relationship. Another thing that's going on, which doesn't seem like a big deal, is the globalization process. So what about globalization? Why would that impact research? Well, it's a new topic to write on. It's different than any of the other topics we have. But what's it globalizing? And the journal that I'm involved in, we get about 450 to 500 articles a year submitted to the journal. We accept 6% of them. Okay? So we get 6% of them. How many people out of that? That means 30 articles out of the 500 get accepted. 3 years ago, if you looked at it, we got 250 articles. 10 years ago, if you looked at it, we got 150 articles. What happened? 2 things happened. First of all, Europe said, we have to start publishing because we are languishing behind these universities in North America in particular. So they started, and now they start submitting to the United States. What else happened? Who else came online at exactly the same time? The Chinese. All of a sudden, it's the Yalu River all over again. They're just coming. They're just, I mean, I can't tell you in a week's time, I'll get 30 articles from Chinese authors. And I'm not disparaging them, I'm just saying I didn't get those before because they weren't a part of the game. So what we have is, just because of the globalization of accreditation and AACSB and stuff like that, what we have is a whole new group of people who are now trying to publish. The Europeans, I teach at the University of Vienna on occasion. They are scared to death because the University of Vienna is a good school. It used to be ranked #1 in Austria. Now they rank it for all of the European Union, and it's like 50th. And they're going, my God, we went from #1 to #50 just because you changed the group of people you're comparing us to. And they're really upset about it, and that's why they bring in researchers to help them get rolling. Another thing that goes is the impact of network researchers. What's a network researcher? They do electrical engineering network analysis. What's a network researcher?
It's a group of people.
People we publish together. I've got a group of people I work with.
The same interest.
Yeah. There was an article that came out 2 months ago in a journal that had 187 authors.
Wow.
Now my question is, what did you do on that article? Did you put in the period, or did you cross the T's, or what was your job? 187 people. One of my best friends in the academic community is a guy named Jerry Ferris. In my field, he's the #1 guy in the world. Guy is a great guy, top researcher. His average, I went and looked at him because he's so good, his average number of people on every one of his papers is 7. Okay? Why does he do that? Well, first of all, they're his PhD students, so he's helping them, their careers, getting them up and running. He's really helpful as a mentor and all the rest of that. But what does he do? If you're on one of my papers, what do I expect back? I'm on one of your papers. Well, if I'm on his paper too, I expect, and all of a sudden Jerry's research just jumped up astronomically. He was always the best, but now he's just, there's no way you can keep up with him. And what Jerry's saying about the network effect is, you have to do that just like they've done in the hard sciences for the last 50 years. Go read a hard science in chemistry or biology. There's always 15 or 20 authors on every one. The lab technicians, the assistant professors, everybody are on there. Because that's their funding for their, they get government funding for stuff. This is really going to impact you, and what I would say to you is, you won't be able to compete if you do it by yourself. Can't do it.
Paying it forward.
Pardon me?
It's paying it forward, I guess.
It's paying it forward. That's exactly right. This is saying to you, when I get out, I better put together a network of people I can work with. Now, the important thing is, don't make the network in here. Why? Because none of you know a damn thing. So now we're hooking 2 iron lungs together and we're going to expect some success. Get Jerry Ferris to work with you. You've got to come up with a group of people that have a quantitative skill, a conceptual skill, a theoretical skill, an applied skill, and say, let's make a team. Jerry would say, because he's got 7 teams now, he has 7 different groups of people who are doing these research papers with him. And he said, it's the only way you can stay ahead of the individual researchers. Put together a team where you lead this one, you lead the next one, you lead this one, you give me your paper, I'll give you your paper. And all of a sudden you add it up at the end of the day and Jerry does 50 articles a year. Does he legitimately contribute to it? You better believe he does. He's phenomenally good. Could Jerry do 50 research papers by himself a year? No way. Even though his wife works with him. No way. So when you get out there, remember, you're going to have to team up, and not with the goofballs that are in here. Forget about these guys. They can't help you. They're no smarter than you are. They don't have a better degree than you do. Get with somebody that can really help you. Another thing that's going on is gatekeeping is really a big phenomenon. Gatekeeping means I want to protect what's mine, and I don't want to get this new ideas in. I work in an area that is totally brand new. There's only been 46 papers written on this topic in the world. I've written 42 of them. That's a really narrow field of people. The problem with it is that people don't want it coming into the literature because it makes their stuff look wrong, and it is wrong. It was a different time when 10 years ago it was right, today it's wrong. Anytime I send these articles to Europe, they get canned just like that. They're rejected within minutes because it attacks everything that the Europeans have done for the last 20, 30 years. What we're saying to you here is, know who you're submitting to, know what their biases are. Don't, as I do, don't send them to Europe. They're not going to publish it. I don't care how good the research is. So know who the gatekeepers are, know what their biases are, and recognize they're there to keep stuff out, not to put stuff in. There's a whole group, they're Mormons, in business strategy. And they pass the papers amongst themselves, and they know what each one of them is doing. And if they get a paper to review on their desk that they haven't recognized, they're rejected just like that, because it's not one of the Mormon guys. And they don't want it influencing their approach to strategy.